SHAREfactory here. This is going to be my first impressions review of Bloodborne for the PlayStation 4. If you don't know what Bloodborne is, it is a spiritual successor to the Souls series. That's Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Demon Souls was a PlayStation exclusive, Dark Souls was multi-format, but this is Miyazaki, who created it, gone back to being a PlayStation exclusive. And quite frankly, this is, so far from what I've played, this is going to be the best game on the PlayStation 4 thus far. It's, my favourite game of all time is Dark Souls, and I love all the Souls games. There's something about the dark atmosphere, the challenge of it, that just really stuck with me. And I was like a little kid waiting for this game to come out. I mean, this came out yesterday, the 27th, and on the 26th it was like Christmas Eve. I was so excited, and I'm 27 and I haven't felt like that about a game in a long while. So yes, I was very excited. I was all aboard the hype train, and from what I've played so far, which is about 6 hours or so, it's succeeded in meeting that hype. Obviously I haven't seen many of the areas, and this video here won't spoil anything for you, because that's part of the appeal of the game, is discovery, and not knowing anything. Going into these games not knowing anything about them is key to their enjoyment. If you watch lots of videos, or I mean, you don't use walkthroughs for this game, because it ruins it. It ruins the immersion. It ruins the whole point of the game. So what is Bloodborne? Why is it different to Dark Souls? Well, straight off the bat, it's a similar feel to Dark Souls. I mean, as soon as you start, the movement of the characters is very similar, and the style of the graphics is very similar, but it's tweaked enough to make it different. Dark Souls was very slow, methodical, and quite often about blocking and then countering, then stepping back slowly, blocking, or parrying. Bloodborne's all about speed. It's all about offensive nature. You don't have a shield. There are no shields in this game. Well, so far there are none. I don't know if they might put one in there later on. We don't know. But that's not what this game is about. This game is about attacking before your enemy can attack you. You have, in your left hand, you have a firearm, a blunderbuss or a pistol is one of the ones you get to choose from at the beginning. And in your right hand you have your melee weapon, which is like a saw cleaver or a cane or a sword. And your gun replaces your shield, so when an enemy is about to attack you, you use your gun to stop that attack, and that stuns them, and then you go in for a heavy attack, or what they call a visceral attack, which does huge damage. If you don't get this right, then you can suffer the consequences, and you might get killed by one simple little enemy. Any enemy in this game can kill you. Doesn't matter how early on in the game it is. A simple sort of beast villager at the beginning of the game could kill you quite easily, and I'm glad that it's kept the difficulty up from the Souls games, as that was one of their appeal, for me anyway. The game is set so far in a city called Yharnam, and you are a hunter. It seems to be that all the townspeople in Yharnam are affected by some kind of poison blood that turns them into beasts, and you are a beast hunter. There is obviously going to be more to the story, the backstory and the lore, which is what these games do. They don't make the story extremely clear to you. They give you a premise, and you go out into the world and you discover it for yourself. There will be lots of lore and item descriptions and weapon descriptions. You may find some letters lying about which will leave some tidbits onto what's happened in that area of the city. And you kind of, some of the game, it's almost making up your own stories. Your theory on it might be different to someone else's, and that's just what's great about the game. Talking about it with friends who have the game as well is one of the appeals. And a lot of my friends are huge Souls fans, and I've got this game, and I can't wait just to discuss the different areas and things that I've found in this game. Is the game as good as Dark Souls? Well, it is different enough to make it sort of non-comparable at the moment. I'm going to have to play more to decide whether I think it's going to be better. I think it could be, which is a lot coming from me. But at the moment, I'm just getting used to the different style of it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it though. The multiplayer aspect of the game is very similar to Dark Souls if you've played that. You play in a single player world that is persistently online if you want it to be. So you will get invaded by other players if you play online, and that to this day is still one of the scariest things ever. If you're playing a game of Bloodborne or Souls games and you're struggling enough at it as it is, and then you see someone's invaded you, there's nothing scarier in video gaming, and it's almost like a game of hide and seek until they find you, and then you really have to put your skills to the test. And for me anyway, that usually ends in my death, so but I will get better. There is also a co-op side to it where you can summon people from other parts of the world to help you defeat bosses, which does make things slightly easier. But I have heard that when you summon a partner this time for co-op, that also summons another enemy NPC, which only appears when you're doing co-op, and I think that actually makes it a lot more likely for other people to invade your game. So whilst you have someone helping you, you're almost putting yourself at risk as well, because not only are you having to fight against enemies in the game, you're more likely to be invaded by other players. So it's kind of a risk-reward factor, which is yet again another thing which Miyazaki gets just right in his Souls games. The graphics in this game are also incredible, and the sound effects are amazing. It's a very polished game. If you're into your frame rate stats, I think it can sometimes drop below 30, but I'm not really got enough of an eye to notice this, but I think sometimes it might chug along a wee bit, so to speak, when there's a lot of enemies or a lot of particle effects, but still runs fantastically, and for the size and detail in the world, it's really impressive. There's only going to be more impressive areas to come as well, I can tell, because I've only sort of searched central city area and gone into some sewers. If you've never played a Souls game before, this will probably not, well, no, I should say, if you've never played a Souls game before, you should try this. It's going to be possibly the best game this year. It's going to be my favourite game probably this year, without a shadow of a doubt. And if you've got a PS4, there's no excuse really not to get this. It's probably going to be the best PS4 game for some time. Definitely the best PS4 exclusive anyway for some time. If you have played the Dark Souls games before and you didn't enjoy them, you probably won't enjoy this. It's not going to change your mind, I don't think, on the kind of style of game that the Souls games are. Bloodborne is very demanding, very punishing for people who just like a quick fix of a game. Are not going to enjoy this. You really have to think about this, take your time. You're punished massively when you die. You lose all your blood and go back to previous save point. Now that could have been a few minutes ago, or that could have been like 20 minutes ago, and you have to go all the way back to the save point. And even still, even though I know that that's what happens in these games, it's still annoying sometimes, but it's part of the game, and I love it. So my overall impressions of Bloodborne is that so far this is everything I hoped it could be, and it's only going to get better from there. It's going to be a massive game as well, well worth the money. It's going to be, 60 odd hours, and that's probably without finding everything as well. Definitely worth your money. So basically what I want to say is, if you've never tried the Souls games before, pick up Bloodborne. You're either going to like it or hate it. It's kind of a Marmite game. Some people really don't get the Souls games, and I can understand that, but that doesn't stop them from being some of the best games ever made, and I think this game's going to be no different. So let me know what you think in the comments below, if you've played it, or if you don't like the Souls games, or even if you've played this, you bought it, and you don't know what all the fuss is about. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.